Recycling, the magical process by which trash becomes treasure and the easiest way for an individual to minimize their own carbon footprint. In the U.S., the system for recycling was never fully developed due to a reliance upon China and other third world developing nations' seemingly insatiable appetite for raw materials. It is because the U.S. was able to get away with shipping large portions of its trash overseas that the infrastructure here never fully developed, including consumer education, legislation, and the physical machinery. Recycling works in one of two ways, according to Green Tumble, an ecological blog run by environmentalists. There are either single-stream recycling methods or double-stream methods. The single-stream method involves a single bin where all of the recyclable goods go in, and the garbage man comes, picks up your trash bin and your recyclables bin on the same day. Whereas in a double stream method, the individual consumer would be responsible for sorting the paper from the plastics and the aluminums, putting the paper into its own separate basket. From the collection step, which is where the garbage man comes and picks up your recyclable boxes, the process goes then to the sorting step, which happens at a specialized facility with special conveyor belts and machinery which are able to sort out the materials based on the chemical composition of them. So it sorts the papers from the aluminums from the plastics. Then comes the washing step, which washes out foodstuff and other contaminants. Following washing is resizing, which is where all of the recyclable materials get resized into smaller chunks, shreds, and pieces. And then after the resizing step comes the identification and separation of plastics. This is its own separate step because recycling plastics is it's honestly a mess. It is a mess because there are 8 different types of plastics, with each type of plastic requiring its own special set of chemical tests and recycling methods. Finally, the compounding step comes, and it is where the small pieces of recyclable material get compounded and pressed into one slightly larger chunk, and this chunk is easier for manufacturers to then take and repurpose into whatever it is that they're going to make it. According to The Atlantic, another thing that makes recycling plastics exceptionally difficult is the fact that recycled plastics often incur more cost than would be incurred to just manufacture a fresh virgin plastic. Most of this cost comes in during the actual recycling process, with the collection and sorting and washing and all the other steps. Education about recycling can go a long way to improving recycling statistics in the U.S. According to Ethan M. Bennett and Alexandritas Paschalis, 2 researchers at the State University of New York, consumer education has been shown through various studies to have behavioral changes as the individuals begin to view recycling in a more positive light, as well as making themselves more available to participating in the process. This would help out with the statistic from the Columbia Climate School, which states that most plastics are contaminated with foodstuffs, other contaminants, or just simply cannot be recycled due to the type of plastic that it is. Some of the unrecyclable objects include single-use plastic bags as well as cutlery. The consumer education would help people become aware of the fact that these items are either contaminated or single use, so that would cut down on the influx of garbage that is contaminating the recycling streams. Some resources for community education events can be found on the website of the Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. This is a Michigan-specific site, and it has many helpful infographics as well as resources that would enable an individual to bring community education back to their community. Every aspect of the American recycling infrastructure needs to catch up with the times, and Congress has only made it easier with having passed a bill that allows the EPA to allow grants to states, local communities, and public-private partnerships in 2022. This will hopefully catalyze more educational events as well as strict overhauls within the infrastructure of the recycling system here in the U.S. According to the Columbia University Climate School, China actually handled a very large chunk of recycling for the world. In 2016, the U.S. exported 16 million tons of recyclable materials, including metals and plastics. According to the World Economic Forum and EcoWatch, in the U.S. created more than 40 million tons of plastic waste in 2021, with approximately 2 million tons of that being recycled, which is not a very good statistic. Luckily enough, though, WM, the largest waste management company in North America, are going about trying to make this recycling process more manageable by outfitting their trucks with cameras that record for contamination, making clothing recycling more circular, as well as investing $500 million for bettering the facilities and strict machinery overhauls. In conclusion, through cooperation across bodies and a willingness to do better and improve, recycling in America is fully capable of making a 180-degree turn and becoming a national strength and bragging point. When legislation that incorporates extended producer responsibility, grants, and community education programs, as well as the dedication from companies revamping their machinery, are all combined and allowed to flourish, the U.S. should be able to be self-sufficient with the recycling and waste management systems, hopefully leading to a position of leadership amongst the global community.